Hello, Yawning Angel back again with another AMOS Pro video, and in this video we're going to carry on looking at screen functionality within AMOS, and in particular in this video we're going to look at scrolling screens. Awesome! So in the last video I looked at the screen copy command, and we're going to be making use of screen copy again in this video. If you haven't seen my last video, there's a link up here, go and check it out, it's worth a watch. Now, as part of scrolling a screen, we will be copying part of that screen as well. But first of all, we're going to concentrate on the def scroll command, which enables us to define a scrollable zone on an AMOS screen. And AMOS can deal with up to 16 scrollable zones on a screen, which is pretty cool. And of course, we're going to look at the scroll command in order to trigger that scrollable zone. So within scrollable screen technology in AMOS, we can scroll left, we can scroll right, we can scroll up, we can scroll down, and we can also control the speed of the scroll. So this is really exciting stuff. So without further ado, let's get a cup of tea and dive on into some code. But wait, before we dive into some code, I want to give you a quick teaser as to where all this is going. Where are we going with all this screen scrolling, screen copying? We're eventually going to wind up looking at dual playfield commands, which will bring all of this together, and we can do some really cool and sexy stuff with the technology that's built into AMOS. So here's a very, very quick teaser of something that's coming up in a future video. Okay, some dots on the screen. What's all this about? Oh, look at that. Parallax scrolling in AMOS. And this is making use of multiple screens. We've got about 4 screens in here. We're using the screen copy command. We are making use of the screen scroll functionality, which we're going to cover in this video. We're making use of dual playfield command as well. We're also using wait VBL, but we're not making use of double buffering, which we need to do. And as you can see, there's a slight bit of flicker. Double buffering will sort that out, but all that to be covered in a future video. But I just wanted to give you this teaser. This is where all these tutorials are heading, and I think it's pretty damn sexy, and I hope you do too. Awesome. How cool is that? Do you like that? I know I do. Right, now let's get a cup of tea and dive on into the code and get defining some scrollable screen areas. Okay, here we are, cup of tea in hand. First cup of tea in the morning, and that's good. Yep, we're enjoying that. Right, I have a shell of a program here. So if I run this quickly, all this is doing is dumping some text on the screen, and it is this text here which we are going to scroll. We're going to have it scrolling to the right, and that's the thrust of this tutorial, but I'll show you it scrolling some other ways as well as we build to that. So that's all that program does. So let me go through and talk you through what we've got so far. Don't forget the code for this program will be available from my website. The link is in the description down below. Right, so first of all, we're defining 2 screens, screen 1 and screen 2, both 32 colors, 320 by 200 low-res screens. We do all the usual housekeeping there, nothing new, nothing that you don't already know. Then we're going to define a scrollable area, and I'll come on to that in a bit. There's some commented out code in here. We've got a couple of lines there which I'll implement later. They'll show you that that's the scrollable area in a little bit more detail. I've got a couple of procedures here, one of them commented out, which will show you the kind of the material that we're putting inside the scrollable area, so be it text or some kind of imagery. We've got some text scrolling, once again there's some stuff commented out here, and then I've got a miniature star field effect here, and we'll implement that as well. Got some information text which is also commented out, we'll come on to that, and I've got a wait key. That's all that code is doing. Really, it is quite boring. There's nothing exciting there. So let's get the exciting stuff in. So first of all, we're going to define a scrollable area, and we're going to use the def scroll command. So the def scroll command in the AMOS Pro manual is on page 060202. It tells you all about it there in great detail. Also, the scroll command is there as well. That's really important because we're going to be using that as well. So we start off then with def scroll. Okay, now AMOS can have 16 scrollable areas, and they have to be numbered. So we define this one as def scroll. So this is going to be zone 1, def scroll 1. We then define the area using graphic coordinates as to where we're going to, what we're going to scroll. So we start off with our from x and y coordinates, and then we do our to x and y coordinates. Okay, so if you've been following along these tutorials and been doing graphics with me, box and bar commands and all the rest of it, this will not be unfamiliar to you. So we start with our x coordinates. So we do, we're going 1 pixel across, a y coordinate, we're coming 10 pixels down, and then we need to define our 2 x and y coordinates, and we are going 319 to 81. So it's just a strip along the top of the screen. That's all we're going to scroll. These are figures I've come up with for this particular demo. You can do whatever you like, experiment with this, define different areas and scroll. It's all good fun. Then we need to tell AMOS which way we're going to scroll. So there are 2 parameters to fill in next. There's a horizontal parameter and a vertical parameter. Now we are going to scroll horizontally. So to go to the right, we use a positive number. To go to the left, we use a negative number. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in a 1, and that's for my horizontal scrolling. And for my vertical scrolling, I don't want a vertical scroll, so I'm just going to put in a 0. So that is all we are going to do there. So that's my def scroll command defined. Scroll zone 1, our area is 1 across, 10 down, to 319 across, to 81 down. We're scrolling horizontally and we're going to the right, and we are not scrolling vertically. We'll come back and play around with these figures in a minute, because also not only do these last 2 parameters control the direction, they also control the speed of the scroll. So def scroll is a very powerful command. Okay, we're not doing the draw lines with T, we're not doing that. We've got the text in place already. So now what we want to do is, let's come down here. So we've got my wait key there. So let's put in a do loop, because we have to execute the scroll within a loop. But the first thing we need to do, we're going to need to do a screen copy, but we will do that in a moment. But first of all, let me do put the scroll command in, and we're going to scroll zone 1. That is literally how you scroll. You initiate the scroll within AMOS. You just execute the scroll command and tell it which zone you want to scroll. So if I save that quickly, save that, and let's just run this program. There are no errors. Let me just run it. Look at that. That zone has scrolled, and it scrolled off the edge of the screen, and I've got to stop the program, Control-C. But very quickly, we've managed to get scrolling happening by using this def scroll. Look at that, that's incredible. So if I wanted to change the direction, the horizontal direction, what I'm going to do is change that 1 to a -1. So if I run that now, see, it goes to the left. How cool is that? Now let's try something a little bit exciting. Let's try, let's change our horizontal value to a 0. And let's change our vertical value to a 1. I think this will go down the screen. Yeah. And if you noticed, it vanished around about here. So let me let me run that again. You see it vanishes there. And the reason being, you probably already know this, but it's because, let's go back to that def scroll command. Here we go. It's because we're only defining this as a scrollable area. 1 across, 10 down, to 319 across and 81 down. That is the only area where that scroll is going to take place. So it's not going to go all the way down the screen. If you want it to go all the way down the screen, we're going to need to change this value. So actually, let's do that. Let's take that 81. Let's change that to 200, and let's run that code and see what happens. There you go. Look at that. It's going all the way down the screen because we've extended the scrollable area. That is amazing. We can try and get it to go the other way. It's going to be a little bit boring because there's not a lot of screen real estate there. But if I change that 1 to a -1, let's run that. And look at that, it heads off the top of the screen. Fantastic. That is a lot of good fun, yeah? So let's change this back to the way I wanted it. 81, we want that to be 1, and we want that to be 0. We'll come on to the speeds in a moment. So what I can do now is just uncomment those. So if I run this, I've got some bars there because I just wanted to find that as the area of the screen that is scrolling, just to show that a little bit more. Right, so with our scrolling, you're probably thinking, but Yawning Angel, what I want is for that to continually scroll across the screen. I want it to, as it goes out one side of the screen, I want it to come back in the other side. And I've seen you implement that because you just showed us that on your teaser video. So how do we do it? Well, let me explain how that is done. And we're going to do that next. Okay, back at it then. So what we need to do to get the scrollable area to wrap itself back round is use screen copy. So strap yourself in because this gets a little bit complex. So I'll explain it as best I can. So what we need to do inside our do loop, before the scroll happens, we need to execute a screen copy command. And what we want to do with screen copy, we want to say, because this scroll is happening on screen 2, okay, we define screen 1 and screen 2, so everything we're putting on the screen is going on screen 2. We want to say to AMOS, can you take a copy of what's on screen 2 at this location, 315,9. So 315 pixels across and 9 down, okay, to 320,81. So that will give us effectively that strip at the end of that row. Okay, stick with me on this. Then AMOS, I want you to copy that area of screen and I want you to copy that to screen 1. This is why we defined 2 screens, okay? Take that to screen 1 and put that at position 315 pixels across and 9 down. Just dump it there, okay? So we're effectively taking this strip of the screen from like this area and we're going to dump that onto screen 1. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do our scroll command. So then scroll, okay. Then we need to initiate a wait VBL command, wait vertical blank line, okay. You're going to need that in there. Then what we want to do is tell AMOS, well, you've taken a copy of the screen, you've scrolled, and now what I want you to do is that copy that you've just taken, I want you to bring it back, but put it at the front of this part of the screen. So this a little bit heady, stick with me, okay, it'll make sense. So what we do is we do another screen copy, and we say to AMOS, go to screen 1 and take that piece that you just put at 315,9, and we know the size of it, it needs to go to 320,81 because that is the size of that strip that we've copied across. And can you dump that back on screen 2? But this time, can you put it at position 1 across and 9 down? F3 that. Okay, so what that effectively does, it takes a copy of the screen from this edge, dumps it onto screen 1, and then it copies it back, but it copies it back on this side of the screen. So what we should see, if I save that, no errors, let's run that and see what happens. See what is happening there? This is taking that section of the screen from there, copying it over, and then it does the scroll and it brings it back and dumps it over here. That's how you get that scrolling effect. And I think it is amazing and so simple to implement. What I will do is a quick drawing to demonstrate what's happening there and just to help you visualize it a little bit more in your mind, because it took me a while to get my head around it, but once you've cracked it, it is amazing and works really well. Right, let me try and draw this out to try and explain it. So as you know, I can't draw, so bear with me. So what we've got is our screens, okay, and we've got 2 screens. And we've got screen 2 and screen 1. So for the first screen copy command, we say to AMOS, can you take an area of this screen, and the area we want is 315 across, because we know this is 320 across in total. Can you come to 315 and basically take a section of this screen. So we're going to take this area here. Okay, so this is our 315 across, 9 down to 320 across, 81 down. Yep, this is 81. And what I want you to do is take that to screen 1 and dump it at position 315. Sharpie's probably not the best pens to be using here, but that's what we've got. Okay, so that's our first screen copy command. That's what it does. So anything in this zone here, this area, sorry, is going to be dumped onto screen 1 at position 315 and 9 down. That's 9 down, okay? So then what happens within the code, we then initiate the scroll command, zone 1, okay? Then what we have to do is copy that back. So then what happens with our two screens, don't forget everything's happening on screen 2. So 2, 1. So then what we say to AMOS is, well, thanks for doing that scroll, but what I want you to do now is do a screen copy from screen 1, and I want you to take that area that you just dumped in there, 315 across and 9 down to 320 to 81. Take that chunk, and I want you to copy that all the way back to the front part of screen 2. Yeah, and this is, as we said, to screen 2, so 1 across and 9 down. Just dump that in there. So that's what that is doing. So this is the order of events. First of all, we screen copy from screen 2 to screen 1. We then do the scroll, and then we take from screen 1 and move it back to the front part of screen 2. So basically what's happening, as anything is moving across, yeah, it's lifted, copied, and then that piece of imagery, text, graphics, whatever, is then dumped back to the left-hand edge. So it gives the impression that the scroll is wrapping round. I hope that goes some way to explain that. If you do get stuck, do draw it out like this, and so you can see in your own mind how it's working. Interesting. Good, right. I've added some extra bits into this program in the intervening time, so I've put another extra comment in here. What we can do now, we can actually press the space bar just to pause that scrolling, which is quite cool. And I've just got the fire button on the joystick to exit the program, because that's just a personal thing that I enjoy doing, and that's what I've done. So I've put some comments in here as well. So we go down. So something I wanted to mention, so the screen copy, so this screen copy only works if you're scrolling right. If you're scrolling left, this will not work. So let me show that to you. So you need to bear this in mind. So let me go back to my def scroll, and let me change this 1 for the horizontal scroll into a -1. Now let me run the program. And as you can see, it's not wrapping the scrolling around. The scroll is still happening, but it's not wrapping it. What you're going to need to do is, I won't do it now because this video will go on and on and on. What you're going to need to do is define the screen copy particularly for your scrolling to the left, if you choose to do that. So this is how you do it for the right. I'll let you work out how to do it for the left. A little bit of homework for you. Give it a try. It can be done, and it is very straightforward. You just got to get your head around it. Okay, so let's play around with some stuff in here. So you notice that I have two procedures. I've always got the mouse in the way. Sorry about that. I know somebody will tell me that I've always got the mouse in the way. Thank you, Frank. Right, so what I've got here, I'm going to comment out that text scroll, and I'm going to bring in this starfield command, starfield procedure, sorry. So I've just done a very quick starfield effect using text. This is quick and dirty code. I know every time I use the R&D command, someone always tells me that there's a better way of doing it. I know, I hear you, but I'm just doing it this way, okay? So thank you ever so much in advance. So right, so if I run this, we've got a very simple star field that is just scrolling across. So The reason for doing this is to prove that whatever you put in this scrollable area will scroll. AMOS is just going to scroll that area. It's not particular about what's in there. It will scroll whatever you dump in there. But you've got to be careful about what you dump in there in terms of the effects that happen. So a bit of screen flickering you're going to get. We're not using double buffering at the moment. We're going to need to use that as we go forward. But this is just a very simple way to show you how this works. So that's my very simple star field scrolling effect, which I'm quite pleased with, just using the full stop character, just using text characters. Let me then go and show you something else. Let me go back to here and let me just uncomment the text scroll. Go back into the text scroll and let me just quickly implement these. So this is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment that out. There's a box and bar thing going on here. And let me just show you, this is an example of the kind of flickering effect that will happen. So if I run this, you see that is very jolty, very not quite happy. And if I pause, so that's what the box actually looks like, but when it scrolls, it's staggering a bit and it's not too happy. Two things to take from this. One, it proves once again you can dump anything in this zone and it will scroll it. But secondly, you've got to be careful. You're not going to get silky smooth, buttery, fresh scrolling here. We're going to look at that in a future video, but this was just about introducing the scroll command and proving that it works. More tea. Now, I did tell you I was going to talk to you about speeds of scrolling. So I think we've got, if we change this number here, so this is, we're doing horizontal scrolling, so I'm going to concentrate on the horizontal scrolling parameter of the def scroll command. So one is basically it's a positive number, so you're going to scroll to the right and you're going to scroll 1 pixel at a time. I think we can go up to 5. So if I change that to a 2, and let me just put everything back to the way it was. So let me get rid of that. Let's comment all this lot out. Sort that out. Right, so I've changed the horizontal scroll speed to 2. So when I run that, you'll notice it's slightly faster, which is good. Let's pump that up a bit to, let's change that to 3, run it again. As you can see now, it's getting faster. So, and finally, oops, where am I? I've lost my place. Not enough tea, that's what the problem is. If I just jump it up to 5, and you can see it's even faster still. So that's how you can control the speed of the scroll. Not sure you'd really want any text scrolling that fast, but hey, each one to their own. And I think if I put that back now, so if I run that again, we should be back to normal. Nice, smooth, silky scrolling. All good. So that's pretty much it. We've got this working. We've needed to use 2 screens to get this scroll happening because we copy stuff onto another screen to copy it back. We defined our scrollable area, but don't forget these use graphics coordinates, so they're quite easy to work out. Use whatever you need to for whatever scrollable area you need. You can do the whole screen, you can do part of the screen, it's all easy, it's up to you. We've got the 2 parameters here, horizontal scroll and vertical scroll. We've just got some lines there just for this tutorial, just to show you what that area was that we were scrolling. I dumped a couple of procedures here just to give examples of the kind of stuff you can scroll. Just some information text, and then really it's the do loop that's doing the heavy lifting. We do the screen copy, we copy the edge of one from screen 2 to screen 1, we do the scroll, and then we copy that back again, and that gives us that scrolling, wrapping effect of stuff. And then just my own personal preferences, we've got we can press the space bar just to pause the program, and we can press fire on the joystick to exit. Do whatever you need to do, but I would say, ladies and gentlemen, that the purpose of this video is to show you about the scrolling functionality within AMOS, and I have done that. This is it, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And that is it for another video. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really hope you've got something out of this. Don't forget, there are a number of screen commands we've still yet to look at. I've got a lot of videos in the pipeline, and if you don't want to miss out on any of those, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you ever so much. The source code for this program is available to download for free from my website. The link is here and it'll also be in the description down below. I can be found online in various places. There's some social media channels, no doubt, scrolling up the screen now. If you want to support my work in some way, I can be supported on Ko-fi. My account details are up here. Thank you to everyone who has left comments so far, who has donated via my Ko-fi account and just given me a lot of support. I really enjoy making these videos and I get such a buzz out of seeing what AMOS can do. And I just enjoy sharing that with others, and I know you like it too, otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching the video up to this point. So thanks once again, look forward to seeing you on the next video, and whatever you do until then, keep safe and keep it retro.